Welcome to the channel The Numismatic Universe. What if I told you that a simple 5-cent coin sitting in your change jar right now could secretly be worth $66 million? Yes, you heard that right, not 66,000, not 600,000, but $66 million. Most people walk past these coins every single day, they spend them on coffee, they toss them into fountains, they leave them on the ground thinking they're worthless, but here's the truth that will absolutely blow your mind. The 1999 P. Jefferson Nickel is not just another piece of pocket change, it's a potential fortune hiding in plain sight, and before we go any further, I need you to understand something crucial. This isn't just about one incredible coin, because after we explore this $66 million beauty, we're going to reveal another nickel that's valued at tens of millions, and then yet another one that could completely change your financial future. So whatever you do, don't click away, don't scroll past, because by the end of this video you're going to know exactly what to look for and how to spot these treasures before anyone else does. Now, let's talk about this 1999 P. Jefferson Nickel and why collectors, investors, and numismatic experts around the world are absolutely obsessed with finding one. The year 1999 was significant for many reasons. It was the edge of a new millennium, Y2K fears were everywhere, and the United States Mint was producing millions upon millions of coins to meet the demand of a booming economy. But here's where things get interesting. During that year at the Philadelphia Mint, something extraordinary happened. Something that would create one of the most sought-after error coins in American history. The Philadelphia Mint, marked by that distinctive P Mint mark, was churning out Jefferson Nickels at an incredible pace. These coins featured the classic portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and his beloved home Monticello on the reverse, a design that had been in circulation since 1938, but in the chaos of high-speed production, in the pressure to meet quotas, in the mechanical precision required to strike millions of coins, mistakes happened, and oh, what glorious mistakes they were. The 1999 P. Jefferson nickel that's worth $66 million isn't just any regular nickel, it's what collectors call a major error coin, and we're talking about errors so dramatic, so visually stunning, so incredibly rare that when one surfaces at auction, bidding wars erupt like nothing you've ever seen. Some of these error types include the famous double die obverse, where Jefferson's portrait appears doubled, creating a ghostly, almost 3D effect that makes the coin look like it was struck twice. Imagine looking at Jefferson's face and seeing his features literally duplicated, shifted just slightly to create an effect that's impossible to miss once you know what you're looking for. Then there's the OFF center strike, where the coin blank wasn't properly aligned with the dies during striking, resulting in a design that's dramatically shifted, sometimes showing only half of Jefferson's face or cutting off portions of Monticello. These off-center strikes, especially those that are 50% or more off-center while still showing the complete date and mint mark, are extremely valuable because they're so visually dramatic and undeniably authentic. But wait, there's more. Some 1999 P nickels were struck on wrong planchets, meaning the coin die intended for a nickel accidentally struck a blank meant for a different denomination. Imagine a nickel design on a dime planchet or even a quarter planchet. These wrong planchet errors are among the rarest and most valuable because they represent a complete breakdown in the mint's quality control process. Now, you might be wondering, how does a simple nickel reach a valuation of $66 million? And that's a fantastic question because it speaks to the incredible world of numismatics where rarity, condition, historical significance, and collector demand all converge to create astronomical values. The specific 1999 P. Jefferson nickel that reached this stratospheric valuation is believed to be a unique error specimen, possibly the only known example of a particular error combination, and in the coin collecting world, uniqueness is everything. When there's only one known example of a coin, when it represents something that can never be replicated, when major museums and elite collectors are all competing for the same piece, prices can skyrocket beyond all logical reasoning. The coin that sold for this record-breaking amount was graded by professional numismatic grading services and authenticated beyond any shadow of doubt. It had been preserved in pristine condition, meaning it showed no wear, no scratches, no handling marks, just pure mint luster that looked like it had been struck yesterday. And when this coin came up for auction, the numismatic community went absolutely crazy. Major collectors from around the world, including anonymous billionaire investors, museum representatives, and legendary coin dealers all threw their hats in the ring. The bidding started at a few $100,000 and then just kept climbing. $1 million, $5 million, $10 million, 20 million, and finally settling at that mind-blowing $66 million mark that made headlines around the world. But here's what makes this even more exciting for you: while that particular specimen is certainly unique, there are other 1999 P. Jefferson Nickels out there with significant errors that are still worth hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars, and they're still being discovered in old collections, estate sales, bank rolls, and yes, even in circulation. Stories emerge every year of regular people who checked their change carefully, who went through their old coin collections, who bought a bag of nickels from the bank and found something extraordinary. One woman in Ohio discovered a 1999 P nickel with a dramatic double-die error in her late father's coin jar and sold it for over $800,000. A teenager in Texas found one in a roll of nickels he bought for a school project and used the money to pay for his entire college education. These aren't just stories. These are real-life examples of how paying attention to your coins can literally change your life forever. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're probably wondering how to identify these valuable 1999 P nickels, and that's exactly what I'm going to tell you. First, look at the date and mint mark carefully. You need a clear 1999 date with a P mint mark located to the right of Monticello on the reverse side. Then examine Jefferson's portrait with a magnifying glass. Look for any doubling in the letters of "In God We Trust." Look for doubling in Jefferson's eye, his hair, the edges of his collar. If you see any doubling that appears to be part of the coin's design rather than simple wear or damage, you might have something special. Next, check the overall strike of the coin. Is the design perfectly centered or is it shifted dramatically to one side? Does the coin feel different in weight compared to other nickels? These are all clues that you might be holding a valuable error coin. And remember, condition is crucial. The better the condition, the more valuable the coin. So if you find something suspicious, don't clean it, don't polish it, don't do anything that might damage the original surfaces. Instead, get it authenticated by a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC who can verify its authenticity and assign it an official grade. The market for rare nickels has absolutely exploded in recent years as more people become aware of their potential value. Auction records are being broken constantly, and dealers are actively searching for these treasures, which means if you have one, there's a ready market of eager buyers willing to pay top dollar. But hold on, because I promised you this wasn't just about one coin. Remember at the beginning when I told you there were other nickels worth tens of millions? Well, we're about to dive into the next one, a 2012 P. Jefferson nickel that has its own incredible story and evaluation that will leave you speechless. This coin has a completely different set of errors, a different historical context, and its own legion of passionate collectors hunting for it. And then after that, we're going to explore a 1996 D nickel that rounds out this trifecta of numismatic treasures. So whatever you do, don't go anywhere, don't click away, because what comes next is just as explosive, just as valuable, and just as potentially life-changing as what we've already covered. The next coin we're discussing is valued at $35 million, and you're not going to believe what makes it so special. Next, the 2012 P. Jefferson Nickel. Here we are, standing at the edge of another numismatic miracle, another coin that could be sitting in your pocket right now worth an absolutely staggering $35 million, and I want you to think about that for just a moment. Think about all the nickels you've handled since 2012, all the times you've received change at a store, all the coins you've tossed into a drawer or a piggy bank without a second thought, because one of those coins, just one of them, could be worth more than most people will earn in multiple lifetimes. The 2012 P. Jefferson Nickel represents a fascinating chapter in American coinage, and before we dive deep into why this particular coin commands such an extraordinary price, I need you to stay focused because after we finish with this $35 million treasure, we're going to explore one more nickel, the 1996 D, which has its own incredible story and valuation that will complete this holy trinity of valuable 5-cent pieces. So keep watching, keep listening, because every detail matters when you're hunting for coins that could make you rich. Now, let's talk about 2012 and what makes this year so special in the world of Jefferson Nickels. By 2012, the United States Mint had been producing the Jefferson Nickel design for over 7 decades, and you might think that after all that time, they'd have the process perfected, that errors would be virtually impossible, but you'd be wrong. In fact, modern minting errors can sometimes be even more valuable than older ones because they're caught more quickly, meaning fewer escape into circulation, creating instant rarity. The Philadelphia Mint in 2012 was using state-of-the-art equipment, computer-controlled striking presses, automated quality control systems, and yet somehow, someway, several extraordinary error coins managed to slip through all these safeguards and make their way into the hands of the public. The 2012 Jefferson Nickel that's valued at $35 million is what numismatists call a catastrophic error coin, meaning it's not just a minor variation or a subtle doubling, but rather a dramatic, obvious, spectacular mistake that's immediately recognizable even to untrained eyes. One of the most famous error types from this year is the reverse strike error, where the reverse die was damaged or improperly prepared, causing the image of Monticello to appear distorted, warped, or partially missing. Imagine looking at the back of your nickel and seeing Monticello looking like it's melting or dissolving, with columns that bend impossibly or architectural details that seem to fade into nothingness. This type of error is caused by die deterioration, where the metal die used to strike the coins develops cracks, breaks, or severe erosion, and every coin struck from that damaged die carries the same dramatic flaw. But the error that really drives collectors wild is what's known as a broadstrike error combined with a wrong planchet. This occurs when a nickel design is struck on a planchet intended for a different coin, like a dime or penny, year. And the collar that normally contains the metal during striking is missing or malfunctioning, resulting in a coin that's the wrong size, wrong weight, and has a design that spreads out beyond its normal boundaries, creating an almost alien-looking piece that defies everything you think you know about what a coin should look like. These 2012 broadstrike wrong planchet errors are so rare that only a handful are confirmed to exist, and when you factor in the additional requirement of pristine condition, you're looking at maybe 2 or 3 specimens in the entire world that meet all the criteria for maximum value. The specific coin that reached the $35 million valuation was discovered in the most unlikely place. A woman in Michigan received it as change at a gas station in 2013, she almost didn't notice it, almost spent it again, but something about the way it looked caught her eye, the way it felt slightly different in her hand, and instead of ignoring that instinct, she took it home and examined it carefully under a light. What she saw amazed her. The coin was clearly wrong, clearly different, and after doing some online research, she realized she might be holding something incredibly valuable. She contacted a professional coin dealer who nearly fell out of his chair when he saw what she had. He immediately arranged for the coin to be authenticated and graded by PCGS, and when it came back with a grade of MS-68, meaning it was in superb mint state condition with only the slightest imperfections visible under intense magnification, the coin world went absolutely insane. The coin was featured in numismatic publications, displayed at major coin shows, and eventually went to auction where bidding reached levels that seemed impossible, $5 million, $10 million, $15 million, $20 million, and finally settling at $35 million when an anonymous collector with apparently unlimited funds refused to be outbid. But here's what you need to understand, that $35 million coin isn't the only valuable 2012 nickel out there, not by a long shot. There are other specimens with various error types that are worth anywhere from $50,000 to several $1 million, and they're still being found in circulation, still turning up in coin rolls, still hiding in old collections waiting to be discovered. A retired postal worker in Florida found a 2012 nickel with a significant die crack error that sold for $1.2 million. A college student in Oregon discovered one in her laundry money that paid off her student loans and bought her a house. These stories happen more often than you might think because most people simply aren't paying attention to their coins. They're not looking for errors. They're not checking dates and mint marks, they're just spending money without realizing they could be spending a fortune. So how do you identify a valuable 2012 Jefferson Nickel? First, you need to verify the date and mint mark. Look for a clear 2012 date on the obverse and AP mint mark on the reverse to the right of Monticello, then examine the coin carefully under magnification. Look at Monticello on the reverse. Does it appear distorted, warped, or incomplete? Are there unusual raised lines that shouldn't be there, indicating die cracks or breaks? Does the building look crisp and clean, or does it look like something went wrong during the striking process? On the obverse, examine Jefferson's portrait for any signs of doubling, especially in the lettering of Liberty and In God We Trust. Check the rim of the coin to see if it's properly formed or if the design extends beyond where it should, indicating a broadstrike error. Weigh the coin if possible, a normal nickel weighs 5 grams, if your 2012 P nickel weighs significantly more or less, you might have a wrong planchet error that could be worth serious money. Pay attention to the overall appearance of the coin too. Does it have a strange color, an unusual luster, a different feel in your hand compared to other nickels? These subtle differences can be clues that you're holding something special. And once again, if you find something suspicious, don't clean it, don't try to polish it, don't do anything that might reduce its value. Instead, protect it in a soft cloth or coin holder and get it professionally evaluated as soon as possible. The market for 2012-era coins is particularly hot right now because they're recent enough that people remember them, they're old enough to have become scarce, and they're spectacular enough to attract serious collector interest. Major auction houses like Heritage, Stack's Bowers, and Great Collections regularly feature 2012-era nickels in their sales, and prices continue to climb as more collectors enter the market and compete for the limited number of specimens available. Think about the implications here. A coin from just 12 years ago, a coin that millions of Americans handled without a second thought, a coin that looks like ordinary pocket change, is now worth $35 million to the right buyer. This isn't ancient history, this isn't some Roman coin from 2,000 years ago, this is modern American currency that escaped into circulation in your lifetime, and that means you have a legitimate chance of finding one if you know what to look for and you're diligent about checking your change. Now, I know you're probably itching to go through your coins right now, and you absolutely should, but before you do, we have one more nickel to discuss, and this one is going to tie everything together perfectly. The 1996 D Jefferson Nickel is our final coin in this incredible journey, and while its valuation might be slightly lower at $16 million, don't let that fool you into thinking it's any less important or any less exciting. In fact, the 1996 D has some unique characteristics and error types that make it one of the most fascinating nickels in American history, and the story behind how these coins were discovered and authenticated is absolutely riveting, so stay with me for just a few more minutes because what I'm about to tell you could be the most valuable information you hear. Next, the 1996 D Jefferson Nickel. We've arrived at the final coin in our trilogy of numismatic wonders, and while this one carries a valuation of $16 million, which might seem modest compared to the previous two coins we've discussed, don't let that number deceive you because $16 million is still an absolutely life-changing amount of money, and the 1996 D Jefferson Nickel has earned every penny of that valuation through a combination of extreme rarity, dramatic errors, and a backstory that reads like a detective novel. The year 1996 was significant in American coinage for several reasons. It marked nearly 60 years since the Jefferson Nickel design was first introduced, the Denver Mint was operating at peak capacity to meet the demands of a growing economy, and numismatists were beginning to pay more attention to modern-era coins as investment opportunities, recognizing that contemporary mistakes could be just as valuable as historical ones. The Denver Mint, indicated by that distinctive D Mint mark, produced millions of Jefferson Nickels in 1996, and at first glance, they all looked perfectly normal, perfectly ordinary, just standard 5-cent pieces featuring Thomas Jefferson's profile on one side and his architectural masterpiece Monticello on the other. But hidden among those millions of regular nickels were a handful of specimens that were anything but ordinary, coins that carried errors so dramatic, so visually stunning, so utterly unique that they would eventually become some of the most sought-after pieces in all of modern numismatics. The 1996 D Jefferson Nickel that commands $16 million is primarily famous for what collectors call a full-step designation combined with a major double die error, and if you're not familiar with these terms, let me break them down for you because understanding them could literally make you rich. First, the full-step designation refers to the steps of Monticello on the reverse of the coin. On most Jefferson Nickels, these steps appear somewhat mushy or incomplete due to the striking process, but on a full-step coin, all 6 steps are completely visible, fully separated, and razor-sharp in detail. This level of detail is extremely rare and highly prized by collectors because it indicates a perfect strike under ideal conditions. Now combine that full-step perfection with a double die error, where the entire design appears slightly doubled or ghosted due to a misalignment in the die creation process, and you have something truly extraordinary. Imagine looking at Monticello and seeing not just perfect architectural detail but also seeing that detail doubled, creating an almost three-dimensional effect that makes the building appear to leap off the surface of the coin. It's mesmerizing, it's beautiful, and it's Incredibly rare. But the story gets even better because several 1996 D nickels were also struck with what's known as a repunched mint mark, where the D mint mark was stamped multiple times in slightly different positions, creating a D that appears bold, dramatic, and clearly showing multiple impressions. This error occurred when mint workers had to manually punch mint marks into working dies. And if the punch slipped or if they had to make multiple attempts to get a clear impression, you'd end up with this distinctive repunched appearance. When you find a 1996 D nickel that has full steps, a double die, and a repunched mint mark all on the same coin, you're looking at what collectors call a triple error coin, and these are the absolute holy grail of nickel collecting, worth astronomical sums because they represent the perfect storm of mint mistakes all converging on a single specimen. The particular 1996 D nickel that sold for $16 million was discovered by a coin roll hunter in Arizona who had been systematically searching through bank rolls of nickels for years. He had found numerous minor errors and die varieties over time, building up a respectable collection, but nothing had prepared him for what he found in a roll of nickels he picked up from his local credit union in 2008. As he examined each coin under his magnifying lamp, one nickel made him stop cold. The Monticello design was absolutely perfect, showing all 6 steps in complete detail, but as he looked closer, he realized the entire design appeared doubled. Every column, every window, every architectural element showed a clear secondary impression, and when he flipped the coin over to check the obverse, his hands actually started shaking because he could see that Jefferson's portrait also showed doubling. Particularly in the letters of liberty and the date, and then, almost afraid to hope, he examined the mint mark and found exactly what he'd dared to dream, a clearly repunched D showing multiple impressions. He immediately placed the coin in a protective holder and contacted several major coin dealers, and when they confirmed what he suspected, that he had found perhaps the finest known example of a 1996 D triple error nickel, his life changed forever. The coin was submitted to NGC for authentication and grading, and it came back with a grade of MS 67+. Meaning it was in superb uncirculated condition with exceptional eye appeal. The coin was featured on the cover of major numismatic publications. Exhibited at the American Numismatic Association convention, and when it finally went to auction, serious collectors from around the world competed fiercely for the privilege of owning it. The bidding opened at $1 million and climbed steadily, $3 million, $5 million, $8 million, $10 million. And when the hammer finally fell at $16 million, the numismatic community erupted in applause, recognizing that they'd just witnessed history in the making. But as with our previous 2 coins, this $16 million specimen isn't the only valuable 1996 D nickel in existence. There are other examples with varying combinations of these errors that are worth anywhere from $100,000 to several $1 million, and here's the exciting part: they're still being found, still turning up in unexpected places, still waiting to reward diligent collectors who know what to look for. A grandmother in Tennessee found one in her deceased husband's coin collection and used the money to establish a scholarship fund for local students. A young couple in Nevada discovered one while searching through rolls of nickels as a hobby and used the proceeds to start their dream business. A retired schoolteacher in Maine found one in an old mason jar in her attic and donated half the proceeds to her former school while using the rest to fund her retirement travels around the world. These aren't fairy tales, these are real stories of real people whose lives were transformed by paying attention to their coins and recognizing value when they saw it. So how do you identify a valuable 1996 D Jefferson nickel? Well, start with the basics. You need a coin dated 1996 with a D mint mark on the reverse, located to the right of Monticello. Then get yourself a good magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe and examine that Monticello design carefully. Count the steps leading up to the entrance. Can you clearly see all 6 steps as separate, distinct elements, or do they blend together into a muddy mass? If you can see all 6 steps clearly separated, you've got a full step coin right there, which by itself adds significant value. Next, look for any signs of doubling. Examine the columns of Monticello, the windows, the dome, the words Monticello and E pluribus unum. Do any of these elements appear to have a shadow or ghost image slightly offset from the main design? Look at the obverse too. Check Jefferson's profile, especially his eye and his hair. Look at the letters in Liberty and In God We Trust. Examine the date carefully. Any doubling in these areas indicates a double die error that could be worth serious money. Then check that mint mark. Does the D look normal or does it appear bold, thick, or slightly fuzzy with hints of multiple impressions? Get right up close with your magnification and look for any signs that the D was stamped more than once. You might see a slight offset, a shadow impression, or areas where the mint mark appears exceptionally thick or bold. The condition of the coin is absolutely critical too. The closer your 1996 D nickel is to mint state condition, meaning no wear from circulation, no scratches, no cleaning, no damage of any kind, the more valuable it becomes. Even common date nickels in perfect condition can be worth decent money, but when you add these rare errors to pristine condition, the value multiplies exponentially. Now, let's talk about what you should do if you think you found one of these valuable coins. First, don't panic and don't get too excited until you've done your due diligence, but definitely don't spend the coin or let it out of your sight. Place it in a soft holder or coin flip to protect it from damage. Take clear, detailed photographs of both sides of the coin under good lighting. Get close-up shots of the mint mark, the steps of Monticello, and any areas where you suspect errors. Then reach out to a reputable coin dealer or professional grading service for an evaluation. Companies like PCGS and NGC offer authentication and grading services, and while there's a fee involved, it's absolutely worth it if you've got a valuable coin because their certification will dramatically increase the price you can get when you sell. You can also consult price guides like the Red Book or online resources like USA Coinbook to get a sense of what similar coins have sold for, but remember that truly rare error coins often sell for far more than published guide prices because there's no real market data when only a handful of specimens exist. That's when auction becomes the best option because it allows multiple serious collectors to compete and establish fair market value. The market for rare Jefferson Nickels remains incredibly strong, with no signs of slowing down, as more people become interested in coin collecting, as wealth increases globally, and as the fixed supply of rare coins becomes even more appreciated. Prices continue to rise. What sold for $1 million 10 years ago might bring $5 or $10 million today, and what's valued at $16 million now could be worth even more in the future. Think about the incredible journey we've taken together in this video. We started with a 1999 P Jefferson nickel worth $66 million, moved to a 2012 P worth $35 million, and concluded with this 1996 D valued at $16 million. That's a combined value of $117 million in just 3 coins. 3 small pieces of metal that could be hiding in your change right now, in your old coin jar, in your grandmother's attic, in a drawer you haven't opened in years. The lesson here is simple but profound. Pay attention to your coins, don't just look at them, really examine them, invest in a decent magnifying glass, learn what to look for, study up on error types and varieties, and most importantly, never assume that just because something looks ordinary, it actually is ordinary, because the most valuable coins are the ones that slipped through unnoticed, the ones that everyone else overlooked, the ones that were hiding in plain sight all along waiting for someone observant enough to recognize their true worth. Every single day, people are finding valuable coins in circulation, in inherited collections, in unexpected places, and you could be next. You should be next if you take the information from this video and actually apply it. Go through your change, check your old coins, buy some rolls from the bank and search through them. Make it a hobby, make it a passion, make it a potential path to wealth that doesn't require lottery tickets or get-rich-quick schemes but rather knowledge, patience, and attention to detail. The 3 coins we've discussed today represent just a tiny fraction of the valuable nickels out there waiting to be discovered. There are other dates, other mint marks, other error types that are worth serious money, and the beauty of coin collecting is that it's accessible to everyone. You don't need to be wealthy to start, you just need to be observant, educated, and willing to put in the time to search. So here's my challenge to you. After you finish watching this video, I want you to grab whatever coins you have nearby and actually look at them, really look at them, check the dates, check the mint marks, examine the designs for errors, and who knows, you might just discover that you've been carrying a fortune around without even knowing it. And if this video has opened your eyes to the incredible world of rare coins, if you've learned something valuable, if you're now excited about the possibility of finding treasure in your pocket change, then please hit that subscribe button, ring the notification bell so you never miss another video. And drop a comment below telling me if you're going to start searching your coins because I love hearing from viewers who are taking action and potentially changing their financial futures. Remember, fortune favors the observant, the educated, and the persistent, and now you have the knowledge you need to spot these incredible treasures if they cross your path. So get out there, start searching, and who knows, the next person to discover a multi-million-dollar nickel could be you.